Hello and welcome back to the Team Dorling Football Shirt Channel Club World Cup Special. We'll be looking into the shirts of the tournament a little bit later on, but to begin with, our usual check-in on the collection. The collection figure currently stands at 335. That's right, yes. Another week with no additions to the collection. There are, however, a couple more shirts en route, so for the first time since I started YouTube, next week we'll probably have some new shirts to look at. In the meantime, of course, the preparation for the move has continued. You'll see behind me that we are now looking very light on football shirts in this room, and in fact, it is now turning into a regular room of clothes, which is kind of boring, but needs must. The wardrobes, one has disappeared altogether, and the other one is now pretty much empty as we continue the packing. Several shirts left to pack, but we are making good progress, and that is the aim of the game. In addition to the shirt move, I am now injured, which is fantastic because carrying stuff around when you're moving house and dismantling wardrobes is much easier when your wrist is deficient in some way, so that's fantastic. We'll take a quick look at one of the shirts from within the collection at the end of the episode, but before then, time to crack on with the meat and drink of the episode and have a look at the Club World Cup. So first of all, we're going to have a look at the shirts of the Club World Cup. Now, I know you're all familiar with the Team Dorling football shirt ranking system by now. Shirts will be ranked from Bogard to Messi. And we're going to have a look through the tournament, a quick race through the kits, and give them a quick ranking. I won't be looking at third kits because not all teams in the tournament currently have third kits. So we'll be looking at home and away shirts, and they will get an aggregate of the two. Once we've got to the end of the teams, we'll figure out which club has the best shirts in the tournament. So without further ado, let's have a look at the shirts in the tournament and see which ones, if any, reach the heady heights of a Lionel Messi ranking. Okay, so let's have a look at what we've got in the tournament. We'll do it in roughly alphabetical order. I think that's how it works. And we'll look at the home and away shirts and give a score based on both. So let's begin. First off is Al Ahly, and they have Adidas shirts. Home shirt, fairly basic, decent pinstriping, nothing too severe, nothing too adventurous. The away shirt, quite a nice little graphic on there. The Egyptian side has done all right here. I think I'm going to give it a Gareth Barry because it is solid, it's dependable, it's not artistic really, but it's not lazy. Gareth Barry for Al Ahly. Next up we have Al Ain of, I think I'm saying that right, Al Ain of UAE. Purple and white, very much the theme of the day for these guys. Nike shirts, nice trim on the collars, side panels on the away shirt with a little bit of added detail there. And of course they look like they've got some nice texturing there. The badge is okay, nice to have the UAE flag in there. It's going to be a Barry as well, isn't it? Nice and steady, nice and safe, not particularly groundbreaking. Now we go to Al Hilal of Saudi Arabia, one of the Puma special range for this tournament, and actually probably one of the better ones. Nice sort of hand painted motif. The colors of the home shirt really work well with this design. The away shirt, a bit more basic. I don't think we can say it's art. I think it's going to be another Barry. I think there is a pattern emerging here. These shirts are, on the whole so far, serviceable without being spectacular. Next up, we've got the Atletico Madrid efforts here. Home shirt, standard Atleti, isn't it really? Red and white stripes. Texture of the material, probably doing it some favors. The away shirt, it's a rough one, this one. I'm not sure about the monochrome badge. Sponsor isn't great. I think this is going to be, yeah, it is. It is going to be our first own goal of the tournament. This away shirt does not work well for me at all. These are a Richard Dunn. Now we go to Adelaide City. Nope, that's not right, is it? It's Auckland City. Auckland City of New Zealand. These shirts are okay. They're made by Dynasty. Of course, this team is one of the, I think the only semi-professional team in the tournament. Can't expect them to have a big kit deal. Look, as far as shirts go for a semi-pro team, they're completely fine. They are a Gareth Barry. Bayern Munich next. Now, I think here we're going to have our first controversy. The home shirt with the big M is clumsy at best. I think it is quite unpleasant to look at, and having seen it in action on the pitch, it's not a looker for me at all. If it was ranked by itself, I think it would be very close to being a Bogard. The away shirt, a lot nicer. It does look very similar to previous efforts that they've produced for Bayern Munich away shirts. The old Bavarian mountains motif, but a bit more digitized. I don't think it's particularly groundbreaking. However, that home shirt really drags these ones down. So as an aggregate score for these two, it's a Richard Dunn for the German side. Now up next we've got Benfica. Now, of course, there's been a lot of talk within the Benfica fan base about the colours that the home shirt is allowed to use, and about going monochrome or changing the colours of the badge. So they've kept the badge as is for these ones. Home shirt with the new Adidas template, yeah, it's okay. Black, white, black, very safe. The away shirt with the piping there, again, not bad. Nice little sub pattern there with the crosses, but I think overall, betting sponsor on the sleeve, we'll go for a Gareth Barry. It's safe, just. Boca Juniors now. Boca Juniors historically have some nice kits, or if a bit samey. These ones, again, they fit in with that pattern with the nice chest band. Again, the Adidas template works all right here. Nice variation on the stripe colours on the away shirt. Nothing artistic about it. It's not going to be a Pirlo, is it? And it's very close to being an own goal, I think, because of the massive betting sponsor across the middle of it, once again really dragging these shirts down. However, going to go for a Gareth Barry. We are top heavy with Gareth Barrys in this tournament so far. Now, Reebok entry from Botafogo of Brazil. Yeah, away shirt. It's got some nice little patterns in the texture there. Nice little textured pattern on Reebok insignia as well. Home shirt, standard black and white stripes. I know that some of the Reebok efforts have been a bit more of a different kind of fabric, more of a t-shirt kind of fabric, sort of to imitate the woolen fabric of shirts of the past. Can't tell from this image really what the fabric of the shirts is like. However, ghastly sponsor down the middle. You haven't gone exactly mad here with design language. The cuffs just about save the away shirt. The home shirt, very basic. I'm torn. If I was going to go, I'm going to go Gareth Barry, but I'm going to say it's like a lower half Gareth Barry, a relegation zone Gareth Barry. Very close to being an own goal, this one. Chelsea, as much as I dislike the club, a bit of effort has gone into the home shirt with some sort of Stamford Bridge inspired patterning there, sublimated into the shirt. Sponsor free, obviously, they were for most of last season, which depends how you feel about sponsors. I think I'd rather have no sponsor than a gambling sponsor, but they do look a bit plain. The away shirt here, cool colours though, obviously harks back to the sort of Hungary style Chelsea shirts of the past. It's the closest we've had to a Pirlo so far. I'm not going to give it a Pirlo though. It's going to go upper tier Gareth Barry. I think maybe I'm going to have to put some decimals against Gareth Barry. This is a Gareth Barry 0.8. That makes sense. Then we've got these. So again, some more of the Puma special range for the tournament here. The home shirt. Well, it looks a little bit like Nesquik cereal. Pluto TV patch on the arm, which is, that looks like an industrial sized bit of plastic. Nice big fat red sponsor across the middle, so that ruins any sort of colour theme throughout it. It's not the worst shirt in the world, but it's certainly not the best. Bizarre framing as well, with you can see where the panels of the shirt lie, that on the shoulders the pattern disappears, so you've got this really weird sort of almost widow's peak of design there. The away shirt, much better. Black collar, cuffs are nice. However, after all of the big deal that was made of Vodafone being the new sponsor and promising not to be in red, yeah, I get it. They're not going to be in red on the yellow shirts, but if that was in black, much better. The away shirt though drags it down. This is a Richard Dunn own goal all day. So now we've got the Tunisian side, Esperance de Tunis. Kappa. So Kappa have gone hard for this tournament. Lovely pattern in amongst the stripes here. 2 sponsors, a bit greedy. Don't mind the numbers on the front. Makes it look a little bit like an international shirt, but we aren't going to worry about that. The pattern is good. This is the Gareth Barry 0.9. I think the pattern would look better if it was on just one of the stripes. Yeah, Gareth Barry 0.9. Possibly the best effort we've seen so far in amongst all these shirts. Flamengo. Yeah. Look, the Adidas template for this is actually last season's Adidas template on the away shirt there in particular. It's nice as a template. It gives you a bit of flexibility. However, they've used the flexibility here to smash a big fat gambling sponsor across the middle. Extra pinstripes around the main stripes on the Flamengo home shirt. Yeah, all right. So it's a little bit beyond basic. The away shirt is okay. Not entirely sure what the sleeve patterns are supposed to denote. Feels a bit lazy. It's going to be an own goal for these ones. Not a fan. Fluminense. Well, I mean, every Fluminense home shirt is pretty much the same. Umbro are a good brand. You know, they do good work. I don't think they have a lot of freedom when it comes to Fluminense. Yeah, green and red stripes with the white separation, fine. Cuffs, collar, match, fine. The away shirt has got the alternate colours on the sleeves, which is kind of cool. Looks like there's a teeny hint of a pattern potentially on the fabric there, but it's not a massive design choice. And once again, we've got an awful gambling sponsor across the middle. I mean, gambling sponsors, you know, ethically, morally, don't sit well with me, but they could at least try to be visually pleasing if you're going to do that. And this is, you know, grand design, you know, sort of graphic design is my passion kind of vibes coming from this. Richard Dunn, own goal. Inter Milan. So, home shirt. So they've gone for something very clever, tried to spell the word Inter in the blue stripes, and then gone for a gradient on those stripes as well. Obviously the fabric is going to have its own patterning. Yeah, it's okay. The monochrome's the badge to fit in with the sponsor, so the sponsor is okay. In terms of colour, it is a gambling sponsor though, which is not good. I'm not sure that it works. I think if you're going to have a pattern in the stripes, that's fine. You don't need to make it gradient as well. It looks very noisy, it looks very confused. It looks a little bit like a printing error, if I'm completely honest. If you're going to spell Inter in the shirt, I think, to be honest with you, they've gone a bit too subtle. The away shirt with the crosses, different colours, yeah, it looks all right. I imagine both of these will look a lot better in the authentic versions. However, again, big fat gambling sponsor. They've tried with the design. I'll give them a Gareth Barry, maybe a Barry 0.6, I guess. Oh, Juventus. Okay. Home shirt. Pink trim, not a bad choice. Juventus dabbles with pink from time to time, and I don't mind that. Jeep as a sponsor, yeah, it's okay, isn't it? It's better this way than when it had all the lightning bolts and stuff. Are they going to slap Visit Detroit on this one as well? Is that something that's going to happen? Yeah, who knows? The uneven stripes, I think if you're going to go white, black, pink, the uneven stripes probably are a design step too far. Just go normal stripes, it would look fine. Sponsoring a garishly sort of bogey yellow on the sleeve, nah, and the collar, weird. Away shirt, this away shirt has looked at the Como shirt from a couple of seasons ago and thought, I want to be that, and what I've actually got is strange geometric design, again with gradients. It's very busy, and then someone's got like a PNG of a water pattern and just slapped it on top. The blue of the Jeep sponsor does not tie in with the rest of the shirt. I understand it probably couldn't be white because the shirt's too light, but yeah, weird. Yellow shoulder stripes and piping, or like yellowy green, yeah. And then the sleeve sponsor is a different shade of blue to the blue in the main sponsor. It is hideous. I think as a combined team, they're looking at high higher tier Bogards here. I think it's a Bogard. It's a Bogard. I hate them. I hate them. Disgusting. Don't like. LAFC. Okay, so Adidas MLS shirts. You know, they're always well presented, tidy, even if they do feel a little bit derivative to me a fair bit of the time. Home shirt, black and gold, solid design choice. Color-coded MLS patch, color-coded forward sponsor, apple in white on the sleeve, annoyingly. Yeah, it's fine. Pinstripes of alternating thickness and shades. Yeah, it's okay. It's completely serviceable. It's not groundbreaking, but it's okay. The away shirt, white and gold. What can you say? It's like the home shirt, but it's white and gold. I prefer the collar on the away shirt though. Little detail on the edge of the collar there, very nice. It's a Gareth Barry 0.7 maybe. Yeah, we're not doing well here. None of these shirts are really singing to me, are they? Okay, Mamelodi Sundowns. Look, I play a lot of Football Manager, right? I've played Football Manager with teams in South Africa. Mamelodi Sundowns. South African football is kind of cool. And they do produce some nice shirts. However, the Kids Super home shirt here is a bit messy, but I think of all of the shirts, it's probably one of the better ones, but it's just confining the design to the bottom half of the shirt. I see what he's done. You know, it's the sort of sandy visage with the sun above it, but it looks cheap almost. You see some of those shirts from smaller clubs or smaller brands, which sort of gradients from the bottom of the shirt upwards. It's not for me. And again, it stops on the sleeve, on the shoulder panels. So again, you've got a weird differentiation in color where the Puma shoulder logos are. Not for me really, but he tried, or she tried, or they tried. Away shirt, much better. Sort of a blue, sort of techno camouflage kind of style. Yeah, serviceable. White collar, white, green, and blue. Yeah, they don't not work together. Gareth Barry 0.5. Manchester City. Okay, as much as I dislike Manchester City as a club, shirts aren't too bad this year. Home shirt with a sash. I know the sash has been historically reserved for the chain strips, but it's all right, isn't it? I think people would probably prefer it if it went beyond the paneling, but again, it's that Puma template, so the shoulder panels are very much separate from the rest of the shirt in many ways. Color-coded sponsors, logos, sleeve sponsor, it's fine. You know, the away shirt, I hate to say it, is very nice. So you've got, again, this one, the Kids Super range. It's probably the best one he did, I think. Well, I keep saying he, like Kids Super is a person. I think it's a brand. I don't really know, but whatever. Yeah, nice sash. Look, with the hand-painted style. The graphic in the shirt is nice. The miniature sponsor, harking back to the previous shirt they did like this. I mean, the only thing you can say about it is it's very sort of like, I copied Steve's homework, isn't it? Yeah. But it's a nice shirt. This is upper echelons of Barry. Is this the first one that's art? I think the away shirt would be a Pirlo, maybe. Home shirt doesn't quite reach that length for me, so I think this is maybe Gareth Barry 0.9. I think this is probably the best two-shirt pairing we've seen so far, which is alarming as a professional Manchester City hater. Into Miami, yeah, pink and black. Look, the shirts are okay. I'm not entirely sure I like the two shades of pink stripe on the home shirt. They look a bit like a sweet, but it is the sensible black and pink with little dashes of white in the MLS logo and in the Miami team badge. It's fine. The away shirt, half and half, black and grey, yeah, not groundbreaking, safe. Gareth Barry 0.5. These ones, so Monterey, I think might be the best Kids Super effort. So because they work as shirts, right? The home shirt, the cuffs, fantastic cuffs, love that. The pattern itself is, unlike some of the others, it doesn't feel confined to the bottom half of the shirt. It doesn't feel like it's been unnaturally broken up for the sponsor in the middle. The sort of paint style graphic from the top and the bottom, and a bit on the shoulders there. I really like it. The home shirt is good. The collar is nice. The away shirt, collar not quite so nice. The graphic is not quite as good, but I think it's still pretty good. And you know what? That little bit of red and green for the Mexican flag in the middle there. Yeah, like it. This is going to be the first. This is a Pirlo. This is a Pirlo 0.1. It's a low-end Pirlo. It was so nearly a Gareth Barry, but I think actually these are the two best shirts we've seen so far. So Monterrey take the lead. Pachuca from Mexico as well. I'm a big fan of Charlie's shirts. They do a lot of good design work, a lot of very flamboyant design work. I think, however, these ones are probably two of the more boring Charlie shirts I've ever seen. Home shirt is cool. It's not bad. The collar is good. The cuffs are good. I like the fact that that gold pinstripe carries on from the collar and the cuffs. I don't particularly like the bottom half of the collar where the blue is on your one side. So that's okay. It's a Gareth Barry. The away shirt is not quite as good, if you ask me. It screams sort of League 2 Puma template from about 5-6 years ago to me. I'm not sure about it. That one I think is an own goal. I think on average though, Gareth Barry 0.2 maybe for these guys. Palmeiras. Now, interesting here because Palmeiras have got two quite nice shirts, I think. The pattern on the green shirts is very nice. Palmeiras have had a couple of very nice shirts recently. I think the one they had a couple of years ago with the gold Puma logos and everything was very tastefully done. Yeah, so it's a decent pattern they've got within the fabric, and it's repeated on the white of the away shirt as well. I like the fact it doesn't continue on the sleeves actually in this case. Previous season Puma template, so it hasn't got the weird cutting on the shoulder panels. So yeah, as a shirt design, these are both very nice. They would be a high-end Barry, but again, very visually displeasing gambling logo brings them back down. So it's a Gareth Barry 0.6 maybe for these guys. Porto. Now, yes, Porto have released 3 very nice shirts for this season. The third shirt, which I'm not allowed to rank and does not factor into my thinking, is very nice. Home shirt though is decent, and if you look closely, it has certainly got a nice pattern in the material around the white stripes. It's a nice shirt. It's Porto shirts, there's not always a lot of variation in them, but yeah, thick, chunky blue stripes, gold logos. Yeah, not bad at all. The away shirt in the pink with the pattern underneath it, very nice. I'm not entirely sure about the treatment they've given the Porto badge on the away shirt, but the design of the shirt is very nice. And again, little touches on the collars and the cuffs, beautiful. But for me, again, big fat betting sponsor. At least it's color coded on the away shirt, but nah, it's a Gareth Barry 0.7. And then we have these guys. So if I'm a professional Manchester City hater, then I think probably whatever's beyond professional for Paris Saint-Germain. I do not like them. However, these are very nice shirts. That's to be said. They have had some good shirts recently. I'm probably not as blown away by the most recent shirts as everybody else is. I think often my hatred overruns my sense of art. And I can't bring myself to like them. However, these are objectively, if I take away all my vast emotions about the club, are nice shirts. The home shirt with the Eiffel Tower pattern. I mean, look, you're a club from Paris. You've got an Eiffel Tower style motif on your shirt. Yeah, it might be obvious, but I mean, it is one of the most iconic pieces of architecture in the world, so you'd be silly not to draw on that inspiration from time to time. I'll allow it. No gambling sponsors either. State-owned club with a state-owned area on the shirt. Look, I can't let my ethics destroy everything. Nice. The away shirt is carried over from last year, so that is good. The fact that they're going to have about 74 different name sets on it throughout the season, so people still buy multiple versions of it, let's put that to one side. I like this. This is how you somewhat artistically incorporate a landmark into your shirt. Look, they're nice shirts. They are probably Pirlo's. I'm going to go Pirlo 0.1 because I can't bring myself to go any higher. But they're Pirlo's. Red Bull. You know what? Red Bull Salzburg, despite the fact that they are the 19th highest ranked team in Europe and they're now competing in a World Club Cup, that's not important here. Puma shirts. Again, look at the shoulders on the away shirt. It's a nice print, okay? It's a nice print. The flowers in blue. It's nice, but it looks like they've just cut part of it away. Those shoulder panels are problematic. And I guess once you've put the template together in that way, you can't carry the pattern on easily because different panels aren't always going to match up. So they've kind of made a rod for their own back there. Don't mind the undersleeve being different. And it's quite nice that both shirts have an undersleeve that is light blue. Collar being the same on both shirts is a nice bit of continuity. However, I mean, unless I haven't read into it properly, I'm not really sure what significance the flowers have. And you know, Franchise FC with the big Red Bull sponsor in the middle. They're safe. They're not art. They're not Pirlo's, but they're maybe a Gareth Barry 0.8. Yeah, that'll do. Real Madrid, orange and gold. Orange and gold? No, that's not right. White and gold and black for a home shirt. Yep, that's standard Madrid. The Adidas template from this season obviously is a bit retro, works well. You know, it's completely serviceable. I've already ranked this on my YouTube shorts. It got a Barry, so that's a Barry. Away shirt, a little bit more design, a little bit more pattern in the colours there. They've color coded the sleeve sponsor with the sleeve stripes. Nice, little bit of a lighter color coming through with the piping. Yeah, it's fine. It's a Barry 0.6 for these two. I was going to say Real Madrid again. That's not right. This is a River Plate. Yeah, home shirt. I've just ranked again on the YouTube shorts. It's a Gareth Barry. These shirts here have been have been pictured without the sponsor, which makes them look better because in reality these have a big fat gambling sponsor in the middle. Moving the Adidas stripes to the sleeves, yeah, is it a bit gimmicky? Maybe, but it is also a bit retro. Don't mind it. Looks okay. They're Gareth Barrys all day, aren't they? Gareth Barrys all day. With the gambling sponsor, Gareth Barry 0.4. Seattle Sounders, another MLS shirts. I don't know what it is about MLS shirts. They just feel not over-designed, but they feel corporate. That's the word. They feel corporate. Yeah, green and blue. Does it work? Yeah, just about. I think I prefer if there was more white in the home shirt though. Color coded sponsors again, it's okay. Away shirt, yeah, fine. Look, it's a Gareth Barry 0.5, down the middle. Ulsan with their Adidas templates, last year's Adidas templates. You know what? Blue and green is a good combo. I don't always like it when the club badge is monochrome to fit in with the pattern, but here actually, you know what, it looks quite good. That home shirt's nice. It's not artistic. You know, it's still quite a plain template, but the colours work really, really well together. So the home shirt, I would think, was probably going to be a Gareth Barry 0.7 or 8. The away shirt, light blue, same template, not quite as striking, I don't think. I think that it looks a bit washed out. Gareth Barry 0.3. So overall, Gareth Barry 0.5. It's down the middle. There's a lot of Gareth Barrys in this tournament, isn't there? Urawa Red Diamonds. I preferred it when they were Mitsubishi Urawa Red Diamonds with the big Mitsubishi logo. Centralized badge, tick. Centralized brand logo, tick. Weird shoulder sponsors, thumbs down. Look, they're fine. They're not imaginative in any way. They're not own goals. They don't suck. Gareth Barry 0.1. And then finally, I think this is the final one. Wydad Casablanca. Kappa again. Yeah, nice. Sponsor in blue kind of ruins the home shirt a little bit, but the pattern in the stripes, very nice. The collars with the cuffs with the gold trim, the collar with the gold trim, and the gold Kappa logos. Yeah, I like that. That's a very nice shirt. You can also tell by the rather muscly model there that it's tight as, making its guns look bigger. Away shirt, very nice as well. Of course, that is also going to be subject to sponsors and numbers and stuff, but the pattern is on there as well. It's a nice pattern. There are pillows. Yeah, it's a pillow point 1, pillow point 2, somewhere up there. It's a low ranking pillow. And there we go. So what do I think of that? Well, to sum it up, it's a very Gareth Barry tournament. There's a lot of safe kits here. The special range by Kid Super, I think it's more of a miss than a hit, but it's not too bad. I think overall, probably the best shirt combination. It's a toss-up between PSG, Monterey, and Wydad Casablanca. I'm going to give it to Kid Super. I think the best combo of shirts in the tournament belongs to Monterey. So well done to him. He wins the Team Darling trophy for the best shirt in the Club World Cup. And if that doesn't sound like a prestigious elite trophy, then I don't know what does. All right, moving on. Okay, so we were going to talk about the tournament itself. Now, full disclosure, outside of a couple of messy clips on YouTube and some fairly ludicrous videos of players being introduced like WWE wrestlers into near empty stadiums, I haven't watched a second of this tournament. I think there's an argument that there is too much football, and I think this fits into that argument. I mean, the football season finished, in my mind, with the National League playoff final, but since then we have had an under-21 international tournament. We've had an end of season 32 Club World Cup. We're about to have some Women's Euros. Fine with that, gonna watch that. It doesn't feel like football's ever stopped. And this tournament, you know, has its issues. So laying my stall out here, I have no problem, no issues with intercontinental club football competitions. I grew up on a heavy diet of Championship Manager. That's probably abundantly clear based on some of my other internet stuff. And the Intercontinental Cup was always something that was kind of cool on there. You know, it was the winner of the Champions League against the winner of the Copa Libertadores. And I quite enjoyed that fixture. And then finding it in real life, looking for action from those games, because that was a way, as someone who, as a younger person, was interested in looking at Italian, German, European club football. This is a way to learn about other teams and other players. I mean, and it was always fun as well to see when the teams from South America played really well against the teams from Europe. You know, I'm all for that. And like I said, I look forward to seeing where I could find footage of it. The Intercontinental Cup itself started back in 1960, and it wasn't initially a FIFA-sanctioned tournament. It began with Real Madrid taking on Peñarol of Uruguay over 2 legs, the champions of Europe against the champions of South America, and they used to play 1 game on each continent. Pelé's Santos side defeated Benfica in 1962, and they defeated Milan in 1963, and it was one of the occasions where it was bringing Pelé and the flair of Brazilian football a little bit more into the European consciousness. But the early years of the tournament were dogged by controversy, and you know, seeing some of the controversy about this year's tournament, that is hardly a surprise to people, I imagine. Brazilian teams declined to participate in either that or the Copa Libertadores itself throughout the late 60s in reaction to the treatment they received by European teams at the 1966 World Cup. And then the Uruguayan and Argentinian clubs that remained playing in the Intercontinental Cup became renowned for their extremely aggressive and violent play against the European teams. In 1967, Celtic took on a Racing Club of Argentina. In their game in Montevideo, 3 Celtic players and 2 Racing players were sent off. A 4th Celtic player was sent off in the final moments, but got away with staying on the field because of the chaos that was developing on pitch. In 1968, Jose Medina of Estudiantes was sent off for fighting with George Best of Manchester United. And the games, by this point, like I said, were renowned for being physically tough, aggressive, violent affairs. It was, however, in 1969 that their turning point was reached when Milan took on Estudiantes once again. Milan defeated Estudiantes 3-0 in Italy, but in Argentina, they faced warfare. The Milan players had hot coffee poured on them by the fans as they entered the field. While they were warming up, the Estudiantes players were smashing footballs at them. Elbows were thrown, tackles were launched. It was a vicious affair. Pierino Prati of Milan was knocked unconscious, but played on with a concussion for 20 minutes. There's lots of pictures of him groggy, unconscious on the pitch. Gianni Rivera was punched by the Estudiantes goalkeeper. Nesta Combin was an Argentinian striker that played for AC Milan at the time. He was kicked in the face by the goalkeeper once again. Then he had his cheekbone and his nose broken by a flying elbow. He left the pitch for treatment, and when he was ordered back onto the pitch, he fainted, and he was then arrested by the Argentinian police for being a draft dodger, as he had not yet completed his national service in Argentina, which all added to a rather spicy affair and led to European teams not feeling like they were particularly welcome in South America. Needless to say, the competition's reputation was fully damaged by this. Over the next decade, several European teams, European champions, declined to participate, meaning that on occasion the runners-up from Europe would play in the tournament instead, or some occasions no match would be held at all. Ajax, Bayern Munich, Leeds, Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, and even Club Brugge all refused to play. Marseille were banned after their match fixing allegations. They weren't allowed to play. By the time I was old enough to watch the tournament and appreciate the likes of seeing Boca and Palmeiras and Vasco and River Plate and Nacional playing against European sides, it was a rather more sedate affair. And it was now a single match played in Japan, and it was often branded as the Toyota Cup for sponsorship reasons. It carried on from 1980 until 2004 in this format, with the last Intercontinental Cup being played in 2004 between Porto of Portugal and Once Caldas of Colombia, where Porto won 8-7 on penalties after a 0-0 draw. This all brought us on to a different international tournament. So in 2000, the inaugural Club World Cup was playing. And even then, back in the first instance of the tournament, it was not without controversy. Fans from UK know full well why that is. The FA Cup holders at the time, Manchester United, decided to pull out of the tournament so that they could go and play in the Club World Cup instead over in Brazil, which meant that for the first time ever, a team that had lost a game in the FA Cup was allowed to be reinstated for the next round. And it was Darlington who were the fortunate benefactors of this sort of workaround to deal with the absence of Manchester United in the third round of the FA Cup. What made it all the more galling in that they would miss the oldest cup competition in the world and not take their opportunity to defend as holders was that things did not go well for them in Brazil at all. They opened the competition with a draw against Necaxa of Mexico, and then they lost to an Edmundo-inspired Vasco da Gama. So they limped home with only a single victory over a semi-professional South Melbourne side who actually predate the A-League in Australia and are still a semi-professional side. The tournament featured 8 teams in its inaugural form. The continental champions from Asia, Africa, Europe, South America, Central and North America, and Oceania, along with Real Madrid, who won the 1998 Intercontinental Cup, and Brazilian champions Corinthians, who were acting as the hosts. So they were the champions. They would go on to win the tournament themselves, defeating Vasco in the final on penalties after a 0-0 draw. Due to sponsorship and financial reasons, the next tournament didn't take place until 2005. It featured just 6 teams: the continental champions from Oceania, Sydney FC, from North and Central America, Saprissa of Costa Rica, from Asia, who were Al Ittihad of Saudi Arabia, from Africa, Al Ali of Egypt, And then these 4 sides would play a quarter-final round to earn the right to play against Liverpool and Sao Paulo, who are of course the European and South American champions, in the semi-final. Sao Paulo won the tournament, beating Liverpool 1-0 in the final. So that was 2 Club World Cups complete and 2 Brazilian champions. Now, this to me is what a Club World Cup should be. Perhaps the format could change, but the 6 continental champions, it just gives me the vibe of being the purest form of the competition. It's what the European Cup was before teams that finished 5th in their domestic league were suddenly playing it. In 2007, the tournament became slightly more convoluted by adding a 7th side, which would be a host club. This introduced an extra playoff round before the quarter and semi-final structure that we just talked about. Milan won the first 7-club tournament by beating Boca Juniors 4-2 in the final in 2007. And this is the format that the competition kept until 2023. So that's not too bad. I can understand the financial and corporate reasons for having a host club from the country that is hosting the tournament. Makes sense to me. 7 clubs is hardly overkill. We do it for the World Cup after all. Teams that have no business being in World Cups have been in them simply by hosting them. So that's okay. But now we have this tournament that is currently going on in the USA at the moment. 32 teams. So does this represent the world elite? Let me see what you think. The 9th best ranked eligible team from Europe, Red Bull Salzburg, who are actually the 19th best ranked team in Europe. And they have managed the amazing feat of getting to the 36-team group stage of the Champions League in 24-25. The 9th and 11th best Asian teams are there. The 21st best team from North and Central America there because Lionel Messi plays for them. Chelsea are there because they won the Champions League 4 years ago. Club Lyon were ejected due to multi-club ownership rules, which allowed LAFC to play after defeating Club America in a playoff. Ironically, the most solid claim for being there at all probably comes from a semi-professional club from New Zealand in Auckland City, because after all, they have won their Champions League 4 times in a row, and they lost their first game in this tournament 10-0. Auckland City, however, underline part of the problem with the tournament as well, and that is the money. The participation and prize money pot for this tournament is quite simply insane. Auckland already have a stranglehold over Antipodean football, and their participation in this tournament will earn them £2.56 million. Okay, that's the equivalent prize money to winning their Champions League in Oceania over 54 times. If they manage to win at the tournament in the group stages, where they will inevitably be knocked out, that's another £1.5 million. Okay, so how are teams from Vanuatu or the Solomon Islands going to compete with a team that has an extra £4 million in their pocket, given that they don't compete with them already? Now, you can apply that logic as well to clubs from Africa and Asia, who will get £7.7 million just for participating. Al Ahly already have a stranglehold on Egyptian football. Mamelodi Sundowns are the most successful club in the history of South African football, and Esperance Tunis have won 34 Tunisian titles, more than any other Tunisian club. These are not rich leagues full of money. This is a lot of money that will go to teams that already dominate their domestic football scene. This tournament, in throwing exorbitant amounts of money around, has the ability to completely destabilize the footballing economies of the smaller nations involved. And this isn't an elite view that clubs that are small don't deserve prize money. That's fine. But this does not bode well for the stability and the fairness of the competition in those parts of the world. And this is before we even consider that clubs will earn £750,000 for every draw in the group stage, £1 million per win. On top of that, if they escape the group stages, that's another £5.5 million, £9.5 million for making the quarterfinals, £16 million for making the semi-final, £22.2 million for making the final, and another £30 million on top of that for winning the competition as a whole. This is a great way for clubs to rake in some legitimate, easy cash to get around financial fair play rules. And you can get access to these funds by being the 18th best ranked team in Europe or the 11th best ranked team in Asia. It doesn't add up as an elite tournament of the world's best. This tournament is the peak of commercialization of the game. It's being played in empty stadiums for a country of people that either don't care or are too scared to come to the games because ICE might slam them in the back of an unmarked van and disappear them to a Central American gulag. That is very much another story. So no, I haven't watched any of the tournament, and you'll have to offer me a substantial part of that prize pot to get me up at 2 a.m. to do so. That loops back round to where we started with this whole thing. I love watching teams from different parts of the world play each other, seeing different football cultures up against each other, being exposed to new players, new clubs, new kits. It's great. You know, there can never be too much football, but there probably is too much football these days, if you see what I mean. I haven't mentioned that FIFA have brought back the Intercontinental Cup separately to this tournament, with Real Madrid winning the 2024 edition against Pachuca from Mexico. And they've also introduced the UEFA CONMEBOL Challenge, which is for winners of second tier trophies in those areas. So the Copa Sudamericana and the Europa League winners face each other. That's not a problem, but it's more, you know? I think a 6-team tournament for the continental champions would be fine as a World Club Cup. It's just 6 representatives from the different parts of the world facing off against each other. It is a Super Cup in essence. If you're going to have a World Cup of football teams with such a random selection of clubs, it doesn't have any sporting merit. Nothing against Red Bull Salzburg, but are they the best that Europe has to offer at a tournament which is meant to be to crown the world champion club? I don't think so. I don't think it offers the tournament a sense of legitimacy. So as long as it's easy to watch and it isn't worth billions of dollars to the teams competing in it, I have no problem with a continental football competition. You know what? Do it for charity, okay? I'll be happy for a few different tournaments to happen, you know? It's a great way to have Japanese clubs playing against Spanish clubs, playing against German clubs, playing against Swedish clubs, playing against Costa Rican clubs. I'm all for it. But chucking these ludicrous amounts of money around that dwarf the domestic and, to an extent, European prize money, continental prize money, is mad. It's grotesque, really, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. So that sums up my opinion on the Club World Cup. It is a hard no from me in its current form. I love football. I love watching football. I love seeing teams that I wouldn't normally see compete, and it's even more fun when they're competing against teams that I do know and against players that I do know and appreciate. It's even better when you have teams that you are fully aware of and they get beaten by these teams, you know? That's great. There's no snobbery here. I love football and I love seeing new clubs. I just do not like the potential side effects of a tournament like this. It's not good for football in general. It's very much like the Super League that never happened in Europe. It's a money grab. It's a closed shop. They made the rules up to allow Messi to be there, you know, which is it's a pure commercial decision. It's not about footballing merit. You know, they're not the best team in the US. They're not. Why are they there? So, yeah, I realized that people complaining about it, it's not going to change it, and it's not going to change the way it works. They've got their qualification process now. So, you know, you win a continental trophy, you're probably going to be playing at the next 2 or 3 of these things, which again is just going to cement your superiority. I mean, think about Auckland City here. Like, the only qualification spot for Oceania is from winning the Oceanian Champions League. They've not lost that tournament for 4 years now, and now they are the richest club in the whole of Oceania by several magnitudes. You know, they've got £2.56 million for being there and they won £75,000 for becoming champions of Oceania. I can see them never missing this tournament and just getting richer and richer and richer. So, yeah, it's not going to change. It's where football's going. It's where football at the highest level is going, and I don't like it. No one likes it. So, we move on. And with that in mind, to close this week's video, which is probably going to be quite a long one based on the ranting that I've done both about the kits and the tournament itself, we'll have a quick look at a football shirt from my collection. It's a rather special Arsenal shirt. You know what? They're not at the tournament. That's how great. No. I think Martin Odegaard needs a nice long bubble bath this summer, so I'm glad they're not there. But yeah, have a look at this shirt, and then I'll see you next week for hopefully a less ranty look at a couple of new shirts in my collection and a progress update on the packing away of my shirts are ready for the move. So thank you very much if you're still here at the end of this video, and see you next week. Bye bye. So the part of the video has come where we have a look at one of the shirts in my collection. I'll give you a bit of information about it, talk through what I like about it, where I got it, why I have it, and show you some pictures of it. The shirt I've gone for this week is this Arsenal shirt here, which, as you can see, features a different sponsor to what you're potentially used to seeing. This shirt itself I got from a former Arsenal kitman via my brother, and it was used for the Arsenal tour of China and Japan in 2017. This one was worn in Shanghai and has the appropriate badge on the sleeve to show you that. Aside from that, it is a fairly standard Arsenal shirt at the time. This is a kit room extra that was not used in the end, but it was patched up, ready to go. And what we've got here is, of course, the Chinese sponsor for the occasion. So once again, we will take a quick look at the shirt with some soothing electronic music playing, and I will see you again shortly.